Okay, now it's time to add some nut bolt washer castings to this to give it some detail. And there's a lot of frustration involved sometimes in nut bolt washer casting adding. Um, but I've come up with a way that kind of makes it not as frustrating, and you don't lose as many pieces. Back when I first started model railroading, it was always one of those bragging things where people would count how many nut bolt washer castings they'd add on their trestles or stuff like that, and because it was such a hard thing to do, that a lot of people just left them off. But I think it's one of those details that really stands out when you look at a wood model that would have them. And what I've done is I've got a couple tools here that I use, and this has got some paint on it from weathering, but this is I think I got this from Micro Mark. It's a tweezers. It's really easy to push down on. It's really pointed on the end, and I actually keep it really clean inside of here, and I have them bent so it a little bit so it closes really well on the ends. Instead of, sometimes you get tweezers where they'll be bent and they don't grab good on the very tip, and then things will shoot out. But I've kept them so they bend really good, tight on the tip. But the main tool I use here, the important one, is this sprue nipper. And I use this to actually hold the nut bolt washer casting. I think I also got this from, this is either a Micro Mark or a PBL, Peterbilt locomotive tool. But this is actually used to get into sprues. It's got this special end that's kind of offset and to nip them off. But I found that it closes really tight and really good on the very bottom here, and it's sharpened. So what I actually use this for is I actually grab the head of the nut with this, and I use that to insert it into the model. Because it's sharpened, it doesn't slip, and the part won't come out of there. I just make sure I'm not using enough, or that I'm using, I make sure I'm not using too much pressure that I'm cutting the head of the nut. You just got to grab it, and it kind of just takes a certain touch to get it in there, but once you kind of get the pattern going, it goes really fast. I've used some of that same Loctite gel glue, and I put just a little puddle here on the corner of this piece of cardboard. And what I do is I take I'm right-handed, so I'm going to use this tool in my right hand. I'm going to use this one in my left hand, and I'm going to lay the nut bolt washer castings out so that that the back of them is on my left side. And so what I'll do is, and I take a straight edge razor blade to cut them off of there, and I only cut as many as I'm going to use for that certain area. So like this corner, we drilled 5 holes in it, so I'm going to only cut 5, so I don't have a whole pile of these things scattering around. And what I do is I take, and I like to leave a little bit of the what would be, I guess, the bolt here, but it's really the sprue. I cut it about halfway back. Because I want to be able to insert those in there for strength. I know some people will shave off just the head, but I think you stand a good chance of them getting snagged or popping off. They're hard to glue and getting lined up. But this way, they'll be strong because they'll be in that hole. And so what I do is I hold this with my left hand, and I take my razor blade between my 2 fingers here, and then I actually use this finger here to kind of just shield those things from shooting off the end when they cut through. So I got 1, 2, 3, 4, I got 5 of these. I just push down, take this away, and then you've got your 5 nut bolt castings laying there. I guess one stuck my finger. Now the reason why I thought it's important to put this on this side is now all my bolts are on my left side here, and so with my left hand I can easily just go through and just pick them up as I go, and I'll pick them up with the pointy tweezers, and I'll transfer. And I use these 2 fingers here as kind of these fingers here to steady myself, and I just go and I just grab the head of the nut like that. And I dip that shank in a little bit of the glue here, and I like that gel control again because it makes a really nice little blob, doesn't run off. And then I just I'm trying to hold this in a way you can see it here. It's going to be hard. And I just slide it right in the hole there and push it all the way down. You can do it in one shot. And I'm actually using one of these optivisors that so just to help me kind of see where everything is. But you know, once you kind of get this technique going, it's pretty fast. Just grab another bolt, look at it with your optivisor, grab the head, dip it in the glue. If you get a little too much on, just dab it off there, and then just go ahead and find that part there. Now obviously when I'm not doing this on a camera, I can go a lot faster than this, but you get into like a rhythm here. Works pretty well. If you get a little too much glue on the outside, just dab it off. We're going to touch up this thing later on with, again, we'll just touch it up with a sponge thing and a little bit of the glue. Oops. Well, so you still lose a few, but you don't lose as many. So, yeah, it's just really hard to do this with a camera in front of me, kind of between me, and I'm got everything kind of an awkward spot. I typically get this stuff where it's a little more comfortable to hang on to it all. There. So, there was 5 put in there. I lost 1, but normally I can go through the whole car and maybe I'll lose 1, or 1 will get ruined somehow, but I can usually get through the whole car with minimal loss compared to the trying to grab it with the tweezers and poke it in there and then they go shooting everywhere. This will just give a lot better grip to it. Now when you're cutting these small nut bolt washer castings, it's easy to just cut them flat on the table here, but these big ones with these big washers on, you'll smash that washer down. So what I usually do is take a piece of basswood, like this is the 8 by 3/8, and I stand it up on edge and I hang the head of the bolt over the edge of the sheet here, and then I'll cut them off, again kind of shielding them so they don't go flying everywhere. And then I got 2 that I didn't get smashed down, so so go around and add those all to the car, and then I'm going to show you how to do the reinforcing on the ends.